that Russia and Ukraine will find a resolution very, very soon. Your thoughts?
That conflict has led to increase in prices of many of the commodities, and that's hitting India quite badly. We would have easily grown to 9% plus GDP growth in the last quarter if there was no Ukraine conflict. And also, given the circumstances that the other conflict, which is the Gaza conflict, is kind of subdued, and we're having free flow of commodities and material through the Cape of through the Somalia infected, the Somalia pirates infested places. So the Houthis have calmed down. So if we can kind of take care of the Ukraine conflict, then the world will be almost back to normal in that sense, especially in terms of pricing of commodities. So for multiple reasons, it is important that the Ukraine conflict ceases. Also, Russia's growth itself will become higher if the conflict stops. The flow of agricultural produce from Ukraine will resume, and that's important. That will calm down some of the food prices globally, and some of the inflation that's going to impact India, or impacts India, is largely food driven inflation. So it'll be good to have that under control, which will allow our RBI to therefore cut the rates, the RBI lending rates, and therefore it'll be cheaper for us to actually invest more into capital. So there are a whole bunch of linkages that are related to the Ukraine conflict, and it's
Yes.
in India's interest and Russia's interest and the interest of rest of the world that that conflict stops as soon as possible.
Okay, can we listen in to that soundbite once again of the Prime Minister's initial statement from the meeting, please?
कल से आपके डेलीगेशन के लोग अनेक मीटिंगों में व्यस्त रहे हैं और बहुत सारे आउटकम के साथ आज हमारी ये समिट आगे बढ़ रही है। एक्सेलेंसी, आपकी यात्रा बहुत ही ऐतिहासिक है। 2001 में जब आपने कार्यभार संभाला और भारत की आपकी यात्रा पहली हुई, उसको आज 25 साल हो गए, और उस पहली यात्रा में ही स्ट्रेटेजिक पार्टनरशिप की एक मजबूत नींव रखी गई थी। मेरे लिए पर्सनली भी खुशी की बात है कि आपके साथ मेरे परिचय को और संबंधों को उसको भी 25 साल हो गए। एक्सेलेंसी, मैं मानता हूं कि ये जो 2001 में आपने जो भूमिका अदा की, एक विजनरी लीडर कैसे सोचता है, कहाँ से शुरू करता है और संबंधों को कहाँ तक पहुंचा सकता है, इसका एक उत्तम उदाहरण भारत रशिया के संबंध है। एक्सेलेंसी, यूक्रेन के संकट के बाद हमारी लगातार चर्चा होती रही है। आपने भी समय समय पर एक सच्चे मित्र के रूप में हमें सभी चीजों से अवगत कराया है। मैं समझता हूं कि ये विश्वास बहुत बड़ी ताकत है, और आपको मैंने अनेक बार इस विषय की चर्चा भी की है और विश्व समक्ष भी मैंने रखा है कि विश्व का कल्याण शांति के मार्ग पर ही है। हम सबको मिलकर के शांति के रास्ते तलाशने चाहिए, और पिछले दिनों जो प्रयास चल रहे हैं, मुझे पूरा विश्वास है कि विश्व फिर से एक बार शांति की दिशा में लौटेगा। एक्सेलेंसी, पिछले दिनों विश्व समुदाय के सभी नेताओं से जब भी मेरी बात हुई और उन्होंने जब विस्तार से मेरे चर्चा की, मैंने हमेशा कहा है कि भारत न्यूट्रल नहीं है, भारत का पक्ष है और वो पक्ष शांति का है। हम शांति के हर प्रयासों का समर्थन करते हैं और हम शांति के हर प्रयासों के साथ कंधे से कंधा मिला करके खड़े हैं। पूरे विश्व ने कोविड से लेकर के अब तक कई संकटों से गुजरा है। हम आशा करते हैं कि बहुत ही जल्द विश्व को चिंताओं से मुक्ति मिलेगी और एक सही दिशा में प्रगति के राह पर विश्व समुदाय को एक नई आशा पैदा होगी। एक्सेलेंसी, मुझे पूरा भरोसा है कि आज दिन भर हम अनेक विषयों पर चर्चा करने वाले हैं भारत और रशिया के आर्थिक संबंधों का अधिक विस्तार हो, हम नई नई ऊंचाइयों को प्राप्त करें, ऐसे बहुत ही आशावादी आउटकम के साथ हम हमारी इस मीटिंग को आगे बढ़ाएंगे, ये मेरा पूरा विश्वास है। माय फ्रेंड, मैं फिर से एक बार आपका फिर से बहुत बहुत स्वागत करता हूं।
All right, viewers, so there you heard it. That was the initial statement. We are expecting very soon we will know what are the key agreements that have been signed between India and Russia in this visit, and we will expect further statements coming in from both sides as well, explaining the importance. But in the initial statement, yes, Prime Minister Modi has welcomed the Russian president, and they've both spoken about the historic nature of the ties between Russia and India. They've both spoken about how this now marks 25 years of this relationship between the two nations being built under the leadership of Vladimir Putin. Let me bring in Sharad Kohli back into the conversation. Sharad, a key focus this time around is on the fact that we're marking 25 years of a strategic relationship with Russia.
Yes, Devika, 25 years, but then this relationship dates back many, many decades. You know, I call this relationship as from Avara Hu, the famous Raj Kapoor song, which was played on the Russian streets, to S-400. I call it from Avara Hu to S-400. You know, India getting those defense anti-missile guns. Can you hear me, Devika?
Yes, Sharad, my apologies there. We'll just mute our reporter who's also joined us. Sharad, go ahead.
I know, I think he was in a hurry to report on something very exciting, but never know, I'll try and make it as exciting. So from Avarahu to S-400, the relationship has come a long way. When he said 25 years, obviously Prime Minister Modi was referring to his era and the era when President Putin took over. So this relationship is strategic for 25 years. The aim, Devika, is to take this $70 billion of bilateral trade to $100 billion in the next 4 to 5 years. But then, that's one aspect. Second aspect, that this should not be a skewed trade because we have a heavy trade deficit with Russia. So India obviously wants all its sectors to be open for Russia, and the Russian business delegation is also here. There's a lot of Russian investment which is going to be promised. You will see in the evening, those pacts, those agreements will be signed for a lot of Russian investments in these sectors. And Russia, expressing its demand to fetch Indian pharmaceuticals, Indian textiles, Indian leather, footwear. There is a tremendous potential of Indian products. And as I said, this has opened a new chapter. You know, when there is a bad somewhere, there's always a good opening somewhere. The sanctions has forced Russia to look eastwards, towards India, and selling of Russian goods in India, Indian goods in Russia, and defense partnerships. Of course, we are seeing a very, very volatile world in terms of geopolitics. So the defense pact is going to be very important here on, and a very important aspect, Devika. One of the most avid watchers of this pact, this President Putin's visit, is going to be President Donald Trump. And of course, Chinese President Xi Jinping, because those are the two G2, I put it in inverted commas, the powers, which will be looking, forward to this bonhomie in a different way. Obviously, it's going to cause some hard burns in the Western world. President Putin's bonhomie with Prime Minister Modi, the pact signed, because this would be a clear attempt, Devika, to bypass the sanctions, because the aim of sanctions was to put Russia under economic stress. The aim was to put Russia under economic subdued atmosphere. But then this meeting will open up new vistas, and this will probably offset the effect of some of the sanctions. And India, Russia, whether it's ruble-rupee trade or ruble-rupee trade or direct currency trade, where American sanctions or the Western sanctions do not come in the way of hindering the trade between the two countries. I think that will be the aim. I am very, very confident, Devika, that you will see ways and means. It may not come out in public. It may not be publicly known, or there may not be a formal declaration, but you will see in the weeks to come ways and means between India and Russia to bypass these sanctions which are obstructing the trade between India and Russia. Most recently with Rosneft and Lukoil. I am told America has relaxed some sanctions, Devika, yesterday on Lukoil. We'll have to wait and see the impact of those relaxed sanctions as to how far they have gone. But the fact of the matter is that President Putin has accepted that America itself, in an interview yesterday, that America itself is buying Russian energy as of now. So that hypocrisy is being exposed by the vendor, by the supplier itself. So I am very keenly waiting to see how this declaration comes out soon after Hyderabad meeting concludes, Devika.
Okay, all right. On that note, I thank all of our guests for joining us because we have to shift our focus to news coming in on